Welcome to Coffee and Connections. I'm Cindy Scott and I'm the library director. Today I have with me one of the trustees, Mike Babylon, and we're going to be talking about a few things about the library with him. But first I just wanted to make a few comments about the fact that the library building is clearly under construction. You can see it from the road. The roof and the structure are now very, very clear. But when you come in the library as well, you'll see that there's been a lot of changes as we have a wall down the middle of the library and across the front, so that we are operating the library out of a space that is about 2/3 the size it was before. This has meant that we've had to move just about every collection around the building, and we've had to pack things very tightly into the space. So if you can't find something, please be sure to ask the library staff about it, because even if we don't have something in our collection, we also borrow it from other libraries. And I also want to remind people that our hours while we're under construction are different than they were in previous years. The regular hours will be restored once the project is completed, but for now we are open Mondays and Tuesdays from 9:30 to 8. Wednesdays we're open from noon to 8. Thursdays we're open from 9:30 to 8. Fridays we are now closed, so they can do exceptionally noisy projects while we're closed, dirty or smelly projects as well. And then we reopen on Saturdays from 9:30 to 5, and that has become our most popular day because there's generally no construction taking place on the site on Saturdays. So, Mike, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about how and why you became a library trustee.
I became a library trustee. I've actually been a patron of the library for many, many years and didn't know much about the trustees actually. And then a very good friend of ours, Susan Razor, who was a trustee, moved and was getting ready to move. And she suggested it to me and kind of forwarded it to some people, including you, and got positive feedback about that. So I actually took her, the balance of her term, and then ran for my own term just this last election. So kind of new at it, but I enjoy it very much.
So you've been using mostly the book collection, borrowing books, until recently when you discovered one of our downloadable services.
Right. I kind of always been a person that took out regular library books, although I've always been a Kindle reader at home. And I sort of heard that the library had ebooks, but I thought, well, what do you have to do? You have to dial in and download off a website, and then maybe they're going to be in the wrong format. It's not going to work. And then just recently, I read something about they had an app that did it all for you called Libby. And I have an iPad. I know how to get an app, and I went on the app store there, and there it was. And I installed Libby, opened it up, and it asked me a few simple questions. Basically, your name, what library do you belong to, and give me your library card number. And that's it. It was all set up, and it's very easy to browse and use. I love it.
Right, it's a very popular part of our collection. And I recently also became a heavy downloading audiobooks, because I like to listen to audiobooks while I'm doing the dishes, actually, cooking and doing the dishes. So it's very easy to use, and once you start doing it, you enjoy it, because there's some of the stuff that is available through either, we have two downloadable services. One is Recorded Books, and everything on that site is available all the time. Now Overdrive, which is where Libby comes from, it's many of the books, there's only one or two copies, and it's part of a consortium of New Hampshire libraries using it together. So sometimes there are waiting periods. You have to wait for the material to be available to you, because this consortium may only own 2 copies of a popular item. However, I found that even though it might say it's going to be 6 weeks, it actually turns out to be a shorter period of time as people read it and return it early, and it just keeps moving through people, or they buy an additional copy of it.
Well, another advantage I found from my wife's the kind of person that I don't want to borrow a library book because I don't want to have to remember to bring it back. Even after I told her there's an ELF program that reminds you and you can renew it right from your house and all that, she goes, for some reason, even though she's a huge reader, no, I don't want to know that I have a book that I have to bring back, even though I would probably be the one bringing it back.
Right.
So then I showed her Libby, and I told her that the books just go back automatically, or you can return them early by just pointing and clicking. And she says, oh my God. And I said, well, give me your library card. I don't have one because I didn't want to borrow books and have to bring them back. But now I want a library card. Got her a library card, she enrolled in Libby, and she absolutely loves it.
And you mentioned Library Elf, and that's another service that we have. You sign up for that app that we have, and basically it will tell you when things are going to be due in a few days, and what's coming up that might become due, and what's overdue, and what you might want to renew, and then you have to contact the library to actually do the renewal, which you can do by phone, email, or in person. But we also have other electronic resources besides the downloadable ebooks and downloadable audiobooks. We also have downloadable periodicals. And we have a language learning software package, Transparent Languages. It's available 24/7 whether the library is open or not. You can go to the website and download some of these services. The second thing is also courses you can take through lynda.com, through the library's website. So you just go to the website and you look at the buttons down the right, and then you can get into the program. Also, if you have any difficulty with any of these, somebody on the library staff can help you get things set up, and you do need a library card for most of these services. So any other items of interest that you can think of to share?
Yes. When you use Libby on your iPad, you can either read the books on Libby, or it will, with just a quick step, put the book in your Kindle reader, either on your Kindle or the Kindle app on the iPad. I use both, and that works seamlessly. I've done that. And the other day I just noticed a new feature. The first time I opened Libby, it immediately went to the magazine that I had checked out and said, by the way, this is due back in 2 days, like hinting, why don't you just read this now, and telling you. And if I had not opened that up, let's say for 2 days, the magazine would have just by itself returned itself to the library. There are no fines or fees or anything like that, nothing to even remember, it just does it automatically. If you go to borrow a book like Cindy mentioned and the book's not available, you can just put yourself on a wait list.
Right.
And it will tell you there's 5 copies, they're talking about electronic copies, and they're all out right now. And usually they do come back in quicker than you think.
Yep, quicker.
And the browsing feature works great. It's you can go on there and see what's new. You can browse under a certain type of book, like historical fiction or something like that. Or you can look for a specific book or author. The search feature is very powerful.
Mm-hmm. My favorite is science fiction and fantasy, so that's usually what I look through. And you can also tag things. So let's say you don't want to reserve it right now. You tag it and put it in a little file where you can then later go in and borrow it or tag or place a hold on it.
And you can click on a thing that says sample, and you can read about the first chapter or so and see if you really want it.
Or even if it's an audio book you're interested in, you can listen to a segment of it as well. And they give little summaries and descriptions, as well as there's reviews that people have given of the material. So it really is a nice resource.
And I was kind of surprised. I thought when I would join this that I was reading the books in the Wolfeboro Library. I'm not. Some of the books on there are not in the library and vice versa. So if you're looking for a book and they don't have it in the Wolfeboro Library, they might have it in the Libby app, or vice versa. So you have 2 chances to get any book you want for free.
Right, and we also have been emphasizing all of our electronic services because we have had more closures. We had a 2-week closure in January, and we had a 2-week closure at the end of March, beginning of April. And while we prepared people and a lot of people borrowed extra materials, it is another way to keep using the library and get some free resources.
And the last thing I thought of is it also works on Android, an Android tablet, or a PC. Any one of those formats will work. I just happen to have an iPad, so I did the iOS.
It's a great service and so easy to use,
The
really.
books are free, the magazines are free, and the app is free.
To the library patrons, I mean,
Right.
the
You have to have a
library is
card.
part of a consortium, so we support with the rest of the libraries, public libraries in the state that are part of it, to make it possible, because ebooks, most people don't realize that multiple use ebooks are very expensive. They could be like $85 for one ebook for 26 uses or something like that. Each publisher has developed their own way of making the ebook available. So that means you get a pretty good rate for what it's costing, because you're sharing the cost with so many other libraries. And we have found that ebook usage is going up, but still physical format is the most popular here. In fact, last year, 2018, electronic audio and ebooks and magazines were just 6% of the library's circulation of about 95,000 items. So you can see that it's still a small percentage, but every year that percentage just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And audiobooks are the leader in growth for people right now. They're very popular to listen in cars or to do all kinds of activities with. There's people who jog listening to,
Or if you can't
to
see
books.
very well.
And when you can't see very well. So that definitely is a huge opportunity to read a lot of different materials that you hadn't really seen before. So thank you so much, Mike,
You're very welcome.
for coming in. And we just have one other item for this, and that is the book of the month, which is Ann Patchett's State of Wonder. This is the second Tuesday book discussion book, and it's a novel by the best-selling author Ann Patchett. It's a story of a pharmacologist, Marina Singh, who journeys to Brazil to bring back information about seemingly miraculous drug research being conducted there by her former teacher, Dr. Annick Swenson. And it's been very popular in our collection, and I think that it would be a read most people would enjoy. Thank you.